The church was being built in 1948-49. They were using the technologies of the time to try to come up with a way to cool the sanctuary. The engineers that happened to be members of the church got together and configured this system. It's very ingenious what they did. So you come in and they would bring ice blocks. These were huge ice blocks, like 60 pounds. And they built a wooden, and these are pieces of wood they had to put together because there was no such thing as plywood then. And they would create a ramp here, slide, and they would slide those big blocks of ice down, steps. And then they'd work them into this room, and we'll go in there and I'll show you where they would put the ice. They would drag them back here. And there's a door that's part of this unit. The ice itself didn't generate enough cooling, so they installed a system that would spray water on the ice. They'd take that cold water that had melted on the floor and pump it through these coils, the big ones, so that when the air passed over those coils, it would be cool. They are supplemented by other kind of newer systems, but that system is still very much used and is used primarily for the sanctuary. One issue is the sheer age of the system. I mean, you got a system that's been operating now for 75 years. And just the wear and tear on the system is causing problems. But those were accentuated by the flood in 2015. Where we're standing, we would have been underwater. I would have been underwater. Over time, and with the events of 2015, we at that time had to replace a motor that drives the main fan that blows air into the sanctuary and sucks air out of it to be cooled or heated. That fan is what we call a squirrel fan, which is, it's pretty much, you can envision seeing a squirrel in a cage and running on a cage kind of thing around and around and around. Well, that's what this fan is, except it's much larger. There's a shaft through the center of that fan that is connected to a motor, and that motor is an electric motor, and it turns the fan, and that generates the air movement in the sanctuary. That shaft was damaged during the flood, even though the bearings have been reset on the shaft, and the motor has been replaced. It is still not performing well, and we know it's just going to go completely haywire one of these days. And you can imagine the shaft spinning at, I'm not sure what the RPMs are, but it spins pretty fast. And if it ever decides to get off center just a little bit, I mean, the shaft could go through the wall, literally. So we're trying to hedge our bets and get into it and replace the system before all of that happens. The new system is scheduled to be installed sometime this winter.